My name is Fuad Moazzez, a member of Las Vegas Baha'i community. I thank each of you for being here today to celebrate this wonderful occasion. It is my pleasure to welcome all of you to this unique celebration honoring the 200th anniversary of the birth of Baha'u'llah, the prophet founder of the Baha'i faith. In every era of history, God has opened the gates of grace to the world by sending a messenger charged with providing the moral and spiritual stimulus that human beings need to cooperate and advance. Each of these spiritual and social visionaries, stainless mirrors of virtue, set out teachings and truths that answered the urgent needs of the age. There are also explanations that reveal the hand of God at work in the history of humankind's winding journey through the stages of tribe and nation towards higher forms of unity. The diverse religions of the world are shown to be expressions of a single underlying truth, related to one another by a common origin and by a common purpose, which is to transform humanity's inner life and outer condition. As the world now faces its most pressing challenges yet, we acclaim Baha'u'llah, born 200 years ago, as such a messenger. Indeed, as the one whose teachings will usher in that long-promised time when all humanity will live side by side in peace and unity. Today, there are more than 5 million Baha'is around the world, and the Baha'i faith is established in virtually every country and in many dependent territories. About 2,100 indigenous tribes, races, and ethnic groups are represented in the Baha'i community. The Baha'i international community has been registered with the United Nations as a non-governmental organization since 1948. This auspicious occasion has brought forth letters of support and congratulations worldwide from more than 240 independent countries and territories. Indeed, across our nation and the world, are similar expressions of recognition of the Baha'i community's rededication to peace, racial justice, the equality of women and men, and the essential unity of all religions. Their observations noted that Baha'u'llah's teachings and principles of one God and one human family indeed has withstood the test of time. Among countries whose leaders and those of prominence who expressed such recognition of Baha'u'llah's sacred mission were Australia, Bangladesh, Bolivia, Canada, Hong Kong, India, Kazakhstan, Namibia, Nepal, the Netherlands, New Zealand, Pakistan, Samoa, Singapore, Spain, Sri Lanka, Thailand, Timor-Leste, United Kingdom, Vietnam, and others too numerous to name. Expressing his support for the Baha'i faith, former President Jimmy Carter stated that he was, quote, heartened by your global community's rededication to peace, racial justice, the equality of women and men, and the essential unity of all religions. He stated that the work of the Carter Center has been devoted to these same aspirations for our great nation, that America should become the foremost champion of human rights and peace in full partnership and mutual respect with all other nations of the world. Our own Governor Brian Sandoval issued a certificate of recognition to commemorate this occasion quote, commending the Baha'i faith communities of Nevada for promoting unity and service to our fellow citizens. Our Mayor, Carolyn Goodman, also expressed her support for this momentous occasion by proclaiming October 22nd as the Day of Baha'u'llah. And Senator Mark Warner of Virginia identified the Baha'i community as one that acts on the principles championed by Baha'u'llah, namely unity, justice, and equality. He stated, quote, that with these beliefs, you have served your communities well and worked toward a just and peaceful global society. Today, we are very fortunate to be joined by Clark County Commissioner Steve Sisolak. We are pleased to welcome Commissioner Sisolak to the podium.
Thank you for that incredible introduction. I can't see a lot of the audience, but first off, I want to thank the Clark High School Orchestra for being with us today. It's very, very impressive. If we can give them a round of applause. I want to focus a little bit on two of the comments that were made preceding me here. The equality of men and women is extremely important to me. It's extremely important to us as a society that everyone be treated equally regardless of their race, their gender, ethnicity, whatever it might be. Equality is a foundation of our country, and I applaud you for having that principle. The second thing is a comment that was made that all humanity should live side by side in peace. The principles that you focus on and the values that you preach are what make us a better world. I thank you for the opportunity to be here today. I encourage you, the diversity that I see in this group is what makes America great. It makes us who we are. It's the very fabric. You are the fabric of our society. Thank you for what you've done, what you continue to do, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here. God bless you. Thank you all very much.
A highlight of Las Vegas Baha'i community is the essay contest sponsored by Clark County High School's English department under the guidance of Jean Holland, adjunct faculty, UNLV Honors College. Mrs. Holland established an essay contest for students through the honors program on the topic of unity as part of the Baha'i community's celebration of the Bicentenary. The winner receives the Carolyn Hensley Baha'i Writing Award and a $1,000 prize. It is appropriate to name the award in honor of Carolyn Hensley, whose life was dedicated to education and promoting unity in diversity in all aspects of that discipline. Here to present the award is Mrs. Jean Holland. Mrs. Holland.
Thank you for that introduction, and welcome to everyone. We did partner with Clark High School, and the committee that worked with the students' essays were delighted at the response that we received. And the winner is Jay Desai. On behalf of Jay, Behnaz and I present he and his family with this check.
tell the story of the 200th birthday of Baha'u'llah, the prophet founder of the Baha'i faith, who was born in 1817 in Tehran, Iran, and of his forerunner, the Bab, who was born in 1819 in Shiraz, Iran.
Together they are the twin manifestations of the Baha'i faith.
This is a story of how in the 200 years since Baha'u'llah's birth, the power of his revelation has moved irresistibly, despite efforts by men and government to stop it, and has enveloped the entire earth.
And how his teachings, which address the needs of the age in which we live, have taken hold as answers to the key requirements of our time.
Time does not permit a recounting of all of his prescriptions for this age, but we will touch on a few. So, let us begin.
Central to Baha'u'llah's revelation and to our story is the essential unity of all religions and the concept called progressive revelation. Progressive revelation states that all religions have been revealed by the same God, that each religion has addressed the differing social needs according to the times and requirements of the people to whom they were revealed. But at their core, all religions contain the same essential spiritual truths. So they are, in essence, one.
Eternal in the past, eternal in the future.
Each of these religions contains prophecies. Each foretells the coming of a promised one.
Each of their founders promised either to personally return or to send another like himself, known as the Promised One.
Each in its own way has foretold the coming of a great religion-restoring, world-uniting, peace-bringing Messiah.
It has always happened this way. God, the unknowable essence, the one man has called by different names, has always chosen the most vile and corrupt of places to manifest himself. In those places, he has brought forth his holy messengers.
And so it was that on May 23rd, 1844, in Shiraz, Iran, in the form of a young man, mild and fine-featured, only 24 years of age, called Ali Muhammad by his parents, now known as the Bab, a title which means the gate, declared himself to be a manifestation of God.
He stated that his entire purpose was to make a break from the past and prepare the way for the one whom God shall make manifest, a divine manifestation of God foretold by all the religions of the world, and, as yet, unknown even to the Bab himself.
It was the Bab's mission to announce the one that to Israel was neither more nor less than the incarnation of the everlasting Father, the Lord of hosts, come down with 10,000s of saints.
To Christendom, Christ returned in the glory of the Father.
To Shia Islam, the return of the 12th Imam.
To Sunni Islam, the descent of the Spirit of God, Jesus Christ.
To the Zoroastrians, the promised Shah Bahram. To the Hindus, the reincarnation of Krishna. To the Buddhists, the fifth Buddha.
To the Hopi Indians, the Pahana.
He would be the one to usher in the worldwide consciousness of the oneness of mankind.
And it happened, as it always does, in the most unwelcoming of all places.
The Bab's message spread like wildfire. It tore away the teachings of the past, making way for a new world and values necessary for the next stage of humanity's development and the unification of the peoples of the world. At a conference in the town of Badasht in Iran, in the summer of 1848, the followers of the Bab gathered.
The only female follower of the Bab present was Tahereh, a beautiful young poet. It was during those proceedings, surrounded only by men, that Tahereh dramatically ripped off her veil. This act signaled a break with the past and underscored the equality of women. With her life and death, Tahereh bore breathtaking testimony to the principle of the equality of women and men and its necessity as a precursor to universal peace. 2 days after Tahereh tore off her veil, women from across America gathered at Seneca Falls, New York.
On July 19th, 1848, the first Women's Rights Conference was held to discuss the social conditions and rights of women.
4 years later in Iran, the government determined Tahereh's influence was a threat. And so, dressed in her wedding gown, she was strangled with her scarf and thrown down a well. But before she died, Tahereh declared, "You can kill me now, but you will never stop the emancipation of women."
Tahereh, the pure one, consolation of the eyes, what I would give to meet you now, while my life is new. You had the strength I pray for, the courage that life calls for, the master that I too adore, revealed himself to you. In a dream he stood perfection, and your life it changed direction. You knew it then, your life would end. To glorify his name. Tahireh, my sister, what right have I to call you so? Unworthy of the dust beneath your feet I am, I know. With eloquence you stirred them, your boldness it perturbed them. Your vision reached beyond their ken, towards your eyes behold, and your deed would be the trumpet blast to shake foundations of the past and lay the groundwork that would last for centuries to come. You were all a woman could hope to attain on this earthly plane. And my chosen path is the shadow you cast in the brilliance of his boundless love. Tahireh, the letter, no friendly eye could bear your fate, no mortal tongue can thus relate the evil done to you. You stood before your enemies and held yourself with dignity. No man could match your bravery. Your final words were sure, and knowing of your station, the point of adoration, your crime that say with love you'd pay, with the fearless love of truth. Tahireh, the pure one. Tahireh, the pure one. Tahireh, the pure one.
The Bab's complete break with Islam and the popularity of his message about the return of the one that all were waiting for brought several imprisonments and finally his execution.
An execution dramatically carried out in 3 volleys by 750 riflemen in 1850.
Witnessed by thousands who stood on rooftops and in the courtyard, the event was covered in newspapers in the US and Britain. During this period, over 20,000 of his followers were also massacred.
However, one of the Bab's followers, Mirza Hossein Ali, because of his noble lineage, was spared death. But he was not spared arrest, torture, and exile.
In 1852, he was sent to an underground dungeon known as Tehran's Black Pit. It was there in that black pit that Mirza Hussein Ali began to receive intimations of his divine station.
From Tehran, a series of government-ordered exiles, decades of imprisonment and torture continued. In 1853, he was sent from Tehran to Baghdad for 10 years. From Baghdad, he was deported to Constantinople and then to Adrianople.
Finally, in 1868, he was banished to the prison city of Akka, Palestine, in the Ottoman Empire, where he remained for the rest of his life until his death in 1892.
During those 40 years, even without a formal education, he revealed hundreds of tablets and books, an ocean of direction and inspiration, setting forth the teachings by which humanity will achieve justice, peace, and unity.
Then in 1863, Mirza Hussein Ali declared himself to be the Promised One. He was Baha'u'llah, the glory of God. He said, "I am the sun of wisdom and the ocean of knowledge. I cheer the faint and revive the dead. I am the guiding light that illumineth the way. I am the royal falcon on the arm of the Almighty. I unfold the drooping wings of every broken bird and start it on its way. I was a man like others, asleep on my couch, when lo, the breezes of the All-Glorious were wafted over me and taught me the knowledge of all that has been. This thing is not of me, but from one who is almighty and all-knowing, and he bade me lift up my voice between earth and heaven, and for this befell me what hath caused the tears of every understanding man to flow."
O Baha'u'llah, O Baha'u'llah, O Baha'u'llah, what hast thou done? O Baha'u'llah, O Baha'u'llah, O Baha'u'llah, what hast thou done? May my life be sacrificed, may my life be sacrificed, may my life be sacrificed for thee. May my soul be offered up, may my soul be offered up, my soul be offered up for thy sake. O Baha'u'llah, O Baha'u'llah, O Baha'u'llah, what hast thou done? O Baha'u'llah, O Baha'u'llah. O Baha'u'llah, how solid the foundation thou hast laid. O Baha'u'llah,
Between 1861 and 1865, civil war raged in the United States. While war thundered, and while he himself was imprisoned, Baha'u'llah revealed the requirements necessary to end conflicts of race and bloodshed among men.
He outlined the actions necessary to achieve the oneness of all humankind.
Among them would be the eradication of prejudice and discrimination of every kind, regardless of race, religion, nation, or gender. America has worked to liberate itself from the evils of slavery. It is a process of liberation that has continued for a long time and requires a healing and level of development that is still far from completion.
In 1912, Baha'u'llah's words were carried to the United States by his son Abdul-Baha. In furthering his father's statements, Abdul-Baha said, "Until these prejudices of race are entirely removed from the people of the world, the realm of humanity will not find rest.
Nay, rather, discord and bloodshed will be increased day by day, and the foundation of the prosperity of the world of man will be destroyed."
He said, "Now is the time for the Americans to take up this matter and unite both the white and colored races. Otherwise, hasten ye towards destruction. Hasten ye towards devastation. Indeed, there is a greater danger than only the shedding of blood. It is the destruction of America."
While in the United States, Abdul-Baha encouraged interracial marriage. At a social occasion, he seated a black man at the place of honor at a banquet given by a diplomat in Washington, D.C. With one stroke, he defied Washington protocol and swept aside the practice of segregation by race and social rank, and challenged the customs of a deeply divided capital city. As America has worked through pain to achieve racial unity, its artists and musicians have found ways to bring people together. Baha'u'llah said, "God has made music as a ladder to the soul."
The music of African Americans gave them solace and inspiration during the tragedy of slavery and the decades of inequality and segregation that followed.
The music they shared with the rest of America inspired America's unique musical style, and at especially poignant times has been a source of unity.
Dizzy Gillespie, an African American musician, was among those who embraced the Baha'i faith and teachings of Baha'u'llah. His music was indeed a ladder to the soul and a means of uniting the hearts of all races.
After Baha'u'llah's death, the first Baha'i temple was built in Ashgabat, Turkmenistan in Russia. By 1918, it had become the first Baha'i community with its own hospitals, schools, workshops, newspapers, and cemetery. It signaled the beginning of the development of houses of worship on every inhabited continent on earth.
Песня наша, туда, где мы тебя привольно пели, где было так свободно нам с тобою. Там под знойным небом негой воздух полон, там под говор моря блещут волны золотые. Там так ярко солнце светит, родные горы светом озаряя, в долинах пышно роза расцветает, и соловьи поют в лесах зеленых. Улетай на крыльях ветра, ты в край родной, родная песня наша, туда, где мы тебя свободно пели, где было так привольно нам с тобою. Там под знойным небом негой воздух полон, там под говор моря дремлют горы в облаках. Там так ярко солнце светит, родные горы светом озаряет. Там пышно розы расцветают, и соловьи поют в лесах зеленых. Ты туда не улетай.
Baha'u'llah said that the organic spread of his faith across the earth would be through the belief of common people.
Queen Marie of Romania and His Highness Malietoa Tanumafili II, the King of Samoa, are the only two reigning Baha'i monarchs to have lived in modern times.
Samoa is the site of the Baha'i temple for the Pacific Islands.
Today, on every inhabited continent is an exquisite, nine-sided international temple, open to and attracting the diversity of the human family. In the United States, in Germany, Chile, Australia,
Panama, Uganda,
the newest local house of worship in Cambodia,
and the Indian temple.
in India, where the caste system is still prevalent, the house of worship is a meeting place for all peoples, regardless of birth, race, or religion. Through its beauty and its message, the Indian temple has surpassed the Taj Mahal as the most visited site in India.
Baha'u'llah not only addressed the spiritual requirements and values of this age, he articulated the means by which every country and location on earth could administer to the community life of its nations. As of today, 188 of the 195 world's countries' national spiritual assemblies have been elected.
Each is comprised of 9 individuals, annually elected in prayerful processes without electioneering, answerable only to their own conscience and the results of consultation among its members.
Among the world's national Baha'i communities is Spain, home of flamenco.
Baha'u'llah spoke of the essential harmony of science and religion and said that true science and true religion reveal each other. So this sequence of events is of special note. In Iran, on the night of May 23, 1844, the Bab declared his mission and heralded the beginning of the Baha'i era and set every atom on earth vibrating anew. On the other side of the world, the next day, on May 24th, in Washington, D.C., Samuel Morse typed out on his invention, the telegraph machine, the very first telegraphic message. It contained 19 characters, a number considered holy in the Baha'i faith. The message was, "What hath God wrought?"
It was the beginning of a communications revolution, a system that would soon evolve into the instantaneous uniting of the peoples of the world. That system would fulfill Baha'u'llah's vision that a mechanism of world intercommunication will be devised embracing the whole planet, freed from national hindrances and restrictions, and functioning with marvelous swiftness and perfect regularity. Baha'is are systematically developing neighborhood training institutes where all can come to gain the knowledge and skills necessary to provide children's classes,
junior youth groups,
study circles,
social and economic development programs,
open to every man, woman, and child who wants to help build spiritual communities and foster a world peace reflecting the noble values God has instilled in each human being.
Baha'u'llah said, "Regard man as a mine rich in gems of inestimable value. Education alone can cause it to reveal its treasures and enable mankind to benefit therefrom."
Because of how Baha'u'llah described the station of education, it is tragic that in Iran, the land of Baha'u'llah's birth, Baha'i youth are prevented from entering university.
and many members of the Baha'i faith are imprisoned for their beliefs.
Thankfully, the world community has arisen to shine a light on this persecution and the attempt to wipe the faith from the land of its birth. The brightness of the jewels released by the education of mankind is felt in the Clark High School Orchestra.
Baha'is have a special focus on the empowerment of young people between the ages of 11 and 14 to help them maximize this most important time in the life of each human being and release their transforming influence in the life of the world. In junior youth groups worldwide, young people meet to learn of their true worth, to express their own thinking, to become friends, and to serve their communities.
Our pianist is a lovely example of the power and the beauty of youth. As it is said in the book of Isaiah, "And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it."
Before his execution, the Bab, Baha'u'llah's herald, was imprisoned in a cell dark as night, without even a candle to give him light. Those who imprisoned him believed that they could hide and kill him, and that his words, his prophecies, and his influence would be extinguished.
But that was not to be. Today, the shrine of the Bab's resting place, triumphantly and majestically illumines Mount Carmel in Haifa, Israel. On God's mountain, its terraces welcome peoples of the world to ascend to his shrine for prayer, and then continue to the mountaintop to visit the universal house of justice, the supreme governing body of the Baha'i faith foretold by Baha'u'llah.
Surround your Lord. Unto God, the Lord of Lords, belong kingdoms of earth and heaven. Land and sea rejoice this day, the day of revelation. Cry out, O Zion, cry out to your Lord, cry out, O Zion, surrounding adoration, circle round your Lord. Wrapped in white and crowned in gold, she stands for unity. God will sail his ark on thee, as mentioned in the book of names. Cry out, O Zion, cry out to your Lord, cry out, O Zion, circle round in adoration, circle round to your Lord. Cry out, O Zion, cry out to your Lord, cry out, O Zion, circle round in adoration, circle round your Lord.
In the 200 years since his birth, the foretelling of his coming, and the influence of his words, the revelation of Baha'u'llah has encompassed the world with teachings and systems that provide the remedy for the ills of our times. To usher in the coming of age of humanity's maturity and its ultimate destiny, universal peace, and a new race of humankind characterized by nobility.
As distant as that future may seem now, Baha'is and all those who join them are working to build new communities that will bring that vision into reality.
The process has begun on every spot on earth.
The Baha'is of Las Vegas wish to express their gratitude to Clark High's Dr. Bicentenary, Eric Main, and Miss Pennington, and the wonderful Clark High School Chamber Orchestra and their tremendous collaboration on this production.
And we thank all of our talented and generous artists who participated in this special 200th birthday celebration for Baha'u'llah. And of course, we thank you for joining us today. May you be guided in your efforts to be promoters of unity and justice for the betterment of the world.